Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Don Govender. There's a picture of me there. I'm the project manager for the Perishables Processing Hub. So why perishables processing, or what is perishables processing? We're really looking at packaged goods or ready-to-consume goods. And why did we pick the sector perishables? Chances are, if any of you had breakfast this morning, you would have taken or prepared something out of a box, whether it's cereal or yogurt or made coffee with the milk, most likely came out of something packaged. Multiply that now 900 million times, and you start imagining the immense potential for packaged perishable products in Africa alone. So I'm going to present really a dry run of a pitch that we will be doing in February to a bigger audience, hopefully more investors, property developers, and so forth. So I really need your affirmation that this project in Ugu is the way to go. And if you have any critical issues that you think we need to fix, we got now until February to fix it, so that when we do the pitch in Feb, that it really starts getting people to sign on the dotted line. So the Perishable Processing Hub, very exciting development that we're proposing for the Ugu District Municipality, which is south of Durban from Scottsboro all the way to the northern border of the Eastern Cape. So this project is being looked at in Ugu. So why perishables processing? I mentioned that in Africa alone, the population would more than double to 2.4 billion people by 2050. And every person would not only have a cell phone, but would have a mouth. And they would be eating. Sub-Saharan Africa alone is predicted to move from 900 million to 2.2 billion people. Now that's bigger than India and China combined. So you heard this morning about the big Indian and Chinese market. I think we're going to be bigger. And you also see in the graph at the bottom, the yellow portion shows that the African population will be growing, whereas populations in Asia and Europe and the Americas would be declining. Growth in Africa's middle class would also increase from 5 million to 25 million. And these are the people that will be buying your processed products, your luxury good items, and so forth. And then we also know that Africa has experienced the highest urban growth in the past 20 years. And what do urban people do? They don't peel potatoes and chop up tomatoes anymore. Our grandmothers did that. Now it's everything out of packets. So as population gets more urbanized and both couples starting to work, they tend to take things out of the freezer and open a packet to prepare a meal. So the demand for more packaged, processed food. And you can see also the number of retail stores that's being set up by the big retail chains. Just to give you an idea of the demand of products that they would need to start putting on their shelves. South Africa's total consumption of perishable products has been growing at a rate of 2 to 5% per year. And its internal market size was about 170 million rands in 2013 alone. And yeah, we had a bit of a glitch in 2009 with the global recession, but we're seeing strong recovery in the sector now. So why put this perishable hub in KZN or in Ugu? It could be anywhere else in South Africa. But KZN has Africa's largest and busiest ports with shipping routes to all the major markets and suppliers around the world. So we can bring things here like raw materials, and we can take our goods out very, very conveniently. We're also less than 6 hours by road to SA's major markets throughout KZN, but especially in Gauteng. We are connected directly to all major agricultural production areas in KZN, in the Free State, Limpopo, Gauteng, and even to the Western Cape. And I'd like to boast that we are very competitive when it comes to costs for labor, land, transport, and water, especially when compared to places like Gauteng and the Western Cape. Okay, I'm just going to summarize the key features of the hub. So some of the products or processing firms that we'll be attracting would be producing some of these items. This has been selected because of the growth in the consumption of these items. Bakery goods, ready-to-consume meal solutions, impulse and indulgence, that's your sweets and your snacks, cereals, milk preparations, and flour. Of course, we won't say no to any other processing firm that wants to come and locate in the park. The hub itself will be located in the Ugu District Municipality. No guesses exactly where, but we are in the brink of negotiating for various pieces of land. Very importantly, though, it would have pre-installed infrastructure. It's something you don't get in your conventional industrial park. So we're hoping that government or maybe some venture capitalists or developers would pre-install all the bulk infrastructure like your electricity, your steam supply, your water supply, prepare the land for easy entry of investors. It would be a green field, but importantly, eco-friendly industrial park, purpose-built for the blue chip perishables processing sector. But again, not only blue chip. We want to get your medium and small firms that's also in the processed perishables sector or related, like logistics firms and suppliers. It would be located adjacent to the N2 for logistical reasons and also for exposure and visibility. And we're hoping to secure sites that would not be more than 40 minutes drive by truck to the port or to Durban. The site itself would be platformed, it would be serviced and secured, and we're looking at to start 100 hectares subdivided to suit a particular investor. So we will have 100 hectares prepared. If an investor wants 10 hectares, we then subdivide and make that available. It would be similar to special purpose parks developed for other sectors like chemicals. If anyone has been to Amboguntwini in the south of Durban, it's geared just for chemicals, or the automotive sector, pharmaceuticals, and so forth. So we're looking at a specialized zone for this particular sector. And just to give you an artist's impression of all the bulk infrastructure that would be laid out, we will have obviously roads, there's water, the blue lines, and we'll have steam and gas for those tenants that need gas. But all this will be supplied in bulk. You don't invest, or the investor doesn't invest in the infrastructure. You just pay for your consumption. And the type of facilities or services that would be on offer would be a usual cluster type support services, lab services, incubator and R&D. I mentioned gas network. We would put up some bulk warehouses. There are a lot of small to medium businesses that cannot afford to put up their own warehouses, so we would have some standard warehouses, SMME factory units, test labs, and water treatment plants, and so forth. So a typical industrial park. Importantly, though, we would also have electricity. We estimated at least 10 MVA of electricity to start with. We will have water, steam, and gas plants installed, 24-hour security, centralized waste management, and we're hoping that if there's any labor unrest, it would not be inside the park, it would be outside. Again, the typical blue chip firms we're trying to attract, I mean, there's a whole host of them, so I hope there's no one here from Unilever and Simba saying, why did I put their logo up? But we want these sort of brands or companies moving in. Some of you might know, Simba last year set up a plant in Durban. They invested about 300 million rand, so the opportunities are there. So we're looking at the sector operators to start taking interest. Also property developers. It is typically a large real estate development. So there will be opportunities for property developers to buy pieces of land and build warehouses, build factories for the purposes of letting out. And then we want institutional investors, those that want to fund either a manufacturing concern or a building to also show some interest. And then venture capitalists, people like you that have money that want to put into large industrial development. And then I think what I omitted here is the local businesses in Ugu that can see opportunities of supplying some product or service into the hub, whether it's cleaning or security or maintenance, engineering services. We will start to engage the chambers and the local business to start preparing themselves for an opportunity like this. So why invest in the hub? As I mentioned, it will be, because it's based in Durban or close to Durban, it will be close to the ports and shipping routes. And you can see more or less the red dot showing where the perishable hub would be and how easy it is to then get your goods to Durban and literally to the rest of Africa, to the 2.2 billion people that's going to be there in the next 20 or so odd years. We'll be connected directly to all major agricultural production areas. And very importantly, KZN is the second largest market in South Africa. And I think most processing firms start supplying the local market before looking further afield. I mentioned cost competitive labor. Okay, also easy access to key supplies and markets via the N2, that is both to the north and to the south into Eastern Cape, connecting easily to the N3 and directly to the port of Durban and the Dubai trade port for certain types of high-value goods. Lower upfront capital costs. As I mentioned, the land will be purchased and leveled. It would be zoned, and all bulk infrastructure would be installed. And because of that, there will be lower operating costs due to economies of scale of some of the centralized pre-installed utility infrastructure. What that means is that the park itself would set up bulk infrastructure like a big boiler and supply all the tenants with steam instead of each tenant setting up a small boiler. So you get economies of scale, and usually the rates for those utilities are much lower. And then sufficient land and utility capacity for future growth. We also hope that being based in the park would create a better image for those tenants that are moving in there. It will be a brand new greenfield site, highly visible. So we'd like to see, all these big blue chip firms signage as you go along the N2 into Ugu. There is attractive investment incentives from the SA government, and I think in the February forum, there will be someone from the DTI explaining in detail what these incentives are. And very importantly, the hub would have a one-stop facilitation service for all your business location needs. So if any investor is interested in locating there, all he needs to do is speak to one team or unit that will explain how to locate, what are the incentives, how to connect to your electricity, and so forth. And what are we looking for then from the audience is to act now to secure a place in the special perishable zone, start talking to us on potential land development options and opportunities, and support services that we might require. I mentioned the importance of the local business starting to get involved with us and starting to collaborate to fast-track the hub development, accelerate whatever developmental processes we need to get through in the Ugu municipality so this happens. And thank you very much. Okay.